Hey, what's up YouTube? So here we are back again on the Python BACnet Stacks playground. Just checking to see if my video is recording. So yes, this has been kind of a work in progress. And what we've covered so far, back 0, backpipes 3, BACnet servers. So we've done some real basic in back 0 and backpipes 3, read, write, release, null. Who is discovery, and then also at backpipes 3, just like a real basic BACnet read multiple, where we made a little app that adds data to a CSV file and rotates it. And then we also did a couple little BACnet servers. So if you're on a job site, you can actually run these and discover them on a Jace or whatever your supervisory controller is. That's kind of cool to actually see it on a real live HVAC system. But we did what did we do? We did the Open Weather Map API, the web weather BACnet server. So we pulled data from the internet from Open Weather Map API and then exposed those as BACnet points. So we made a script that exposes the web weather data as a little BACnet device, and you can discover the points and see web weather, dry bulb, relative humidity and temperature, which is actually kind of like a cool real life application, which is like we talked about that before. It's like the building automation sensors are pretty flimsy, so if you can actually control your data, or if you can actually control your building HVAC to airport weather station data, which is probably where Open Weather Map pulls the data from, it might be better sensors. So it's kind of fun to play around with. Highly recommend it. It's kind of getting like deep into the weeds. If you're a really good car mechanic, you could like modify your engine of your car. I don't have those capabilities, but I do have the capabilities of like playing around with code bases and modifying your HVAC system to do cool stuff other than what the stupid manufacturer tells you to do. So if you're like me, wishing you were a car mechanic that could do cool things to a car, which I cannot do, but I could do to a building, this is the right place to be. So next we did a schedule calendar BACnet server. So that's like where we created like the schedule object. We went to the last video, we went to the backpipes 3 repo, and we pulled the example app that for the schedule calendar object, which is the same exact server code base as the web weather. It's real similar. BACnet server application in Python. We're just using a different kind of points. Okay, so next I think I didn't say next I think should probably just look at the BACnet spec. So this like course has been evolving. I've kind of given up on my AI generated computer science lectures here. I might come back to these if I run out of BACnet topics. Maybe I'll switch back to just doing some computer science Python algorithm stuff. I think we made it up to like day 21, something like that. So let's see, slicing and dicing data, somewhere in here. So like, I'll probably go back to this in the future. Maybe it was day 27 if I remember correctly. Algorithms. So someday in the future, this is really good stuff. If you're new to Python but you're familiar with BACnet, like I was, try and do some of this stuff, or take the course on edX that I've. It'll make you like 100 times better than not knowing any of the computer science theory, even if it's just like the real basic stuff. It's really good. So okay, so where were we on that? So like, if we just get back into the lessons. We're done with the vibe code app 4. I think today I just want to talk about the BACnet spec, and then the vibe code app 5. That might be I have to fix this, but we can do a point discover of device. of a device, which is not too different than, so I'm going to jump back into the code here. Maybe it's actually easier to look at through GitHub. So like when you do a point discover of device, and it's not too much different than when we did the schedule object. We had to loop through a whole bunch of different data, in Python. It's kind of like that. So we ask the device to give us an object list, and then we'll have to do a ton of looping, kind of like what we had to do here in the mini. Okay, so in the Backpipes 3 read schedule object, this is what I was talking about. When we, in Backpipes under the hood, when it's, we have to iterate over the data, it's kind of getting deeper into bytes on the wire. Maybe someday we'll get into Wireshark too. So we're kind of like deciphering all these BACnet messages through here, and that's what gives us all the data to look at. So like, so this is what I'm talking about. We had to do, so we did read properties. So when we run this code, maybe I'll just run it so we can remember. So, okay, so I'm back in VS Code. Just refer to any like the really old videos for how to set this up. Getting into Python takes a little bit getting used to. There's lots of YouTube videos out there too. So if we did Python tab complete, you can just type in a couple letters, tab complete. Okay, I think this device should still be online on my test bench. So it should be run. Oh, I know what I have to. I have to disconnect from a VPN. For some reason, there's some VPN that screws up my Python. Okay, so like when we did all of this on our calendar schedule device, like we quite a few different read requests parsed all of this information. So like mostly, okay, so if you see this like current value, that's from a present value. So that's not too much different when we read request a present value of a temperature sensor, of a damper, of a valve position or something. We get the present value. That's like 99% of what we look at is present value of the input outputs of the HVAC system. So like if we, so I think this is one read request, this is one read request, this is one big read request where we parse a lot of the data, and then I think this is another read request. So if we see that in here, yeah, so this is object name. We must not print that. Schedule name. I'm trying to look for that guy. Oh, here it is. So schedule name. So that's the one read request. So that data, when it comes back from the device, is this read request for object name. And then another, this is our present value request where we perform all the time for sensors as present value. Our default schedule object is this guy. So that, just refer to the other videos where we looked at the Niagara building automation generic weekly calendar widgets. So that's where that kind of comes from. The weekly schedule, that's the big one, where we loop through a lot of the data. So in the code where we looked at weekly schedule, there's a lot more attributes that we have to pull out of it to get all the good information, and then especially with the exception schedule. So yeah, 150 lines of code. And then also keep in mind, just gonna pull up our handy dandy BACnet scan tool, drop it down to the NIC card of my Windows computer like we've done a million times, and do a who is. So right now the search is doing a who is, and then this is the schedule server that we have running on the Raspberry Pi, and all of this is just pulling this one point right here. So there's a calendar schedule point, which I'm not going to get into, and then this is also just a plain binary value that just represents if the schedule is actually occupied or not occupied, which I think is could be one of the, yeah, so the present value, it does actually have that, so it should be the same as this right here. We could actually test that, but oh yeah, I guess I remember that this schedule object isn't supported by this tool. Like, this tool is too primitive. They never built it to be able to parse all of this data, because it's probably pretty rare that you ever have to do that. So not all building automation systems may have a schedule object in them, but some may, and it's super useful too, especially if there is like a calendar, weekly calendar widget that we looked at in the last video that Tritium has. If people that are software engineers and software developers, they could even build a front end in HTML and JavaScript to even make their own weekly calendar schedule widget. I think there is enough code right here that someone could do that. You could even build your own if you know what you're doing. So okay, so just hopefully that makes sense. That is the mini schedule calendar device that we have running on the Raspberry Pi, that we're reading data from here, as well as our BACnet scan tool. And then yeah, these were just basically tester files that we made to test our little server applications. So yeah, it'd be really cool if someone even combined these. It would be really impressive too, from like a computer science GitHub project. If you have AI tooling, if you have Claude Code or Cursor, I really like Cursor. I actually have Cursor running right here, and it looks like it finished. So I love Cursor. So this is just some other project that I will probably show you a little bit down the road for open fault detection diagnostics. Cursor right now is updating my application to use self-signed certificates. Whole different can of worms, but I love Cursor. So okay, so where are we going with this? So I'll start a vibe code app 5 right here, which will be a point discover, which will be a lot like this guy right here, where we'll have to loop through all of the data coming back from the device. So like I don't know if we'll get into actually making the code, but maybe we could start. I could probably actually use the same code base, but we would, instead of object name, all this stuff, it would just be one called object list. Not present value, not object name. Object list is another BACnet attribute that we can pull all of the point names from a device. Kind of cool. There's actually so much to BACnet that I've learned just by playing around with Python that I never even knew existed, as being a building automation technician for 10 years. Some of the stuff is just so buried behind the scenes, like, you just don't know it's even there. Okay, so what should we do next? Maybe let's look at the spec. So I didn't say we would get into this, but what the heck? I haven't actually looked at this in a really long time, but this is actually the specification from BACnet, from ASHRAE, on how to, if you were a coding person, like, you could create your own networking stack. So a lot of really smart people here that can know how to like write a specification on how to do all the computer science stuff to make BACnet messages on bytes on the wire. It's really complicated, I think. It even gets into MSTP. But these are all the, I don't even think, it's kind of a cool glance. Some of this I think is like really advanced networking concepts. So maybe we'll reference back to this when we get to like doing some few things in Wireshark on how we could then check the BACnet spec and everything. I think it would be kind of cool to do like, we could probably have AI kind of mimic a BACnet device, and it could be malformed BACnet packets. So it's getting into almost like tech support level of understanding BACnet, which I am not super familiar with myself. I know how to make it work, like kind of like how an IT guy sets up Wi-Fi systems in a building. It's what they do all day long. I've set up BACnet networks in buildings all day long, and I'm pretty sure the IT guy setting up Wi-Fi never has to get into like the 802 dot whatever spec on Wi-Fi. You just don't need to go that level unless you're like a network stack developer. But I think it kind of helps to maybe just, it's there. People do read this. It's if you want to like advance your career from being a building automation field technician, maybe you could get into tech support. So like knowing these BACnet tooling and the Python stuff and back pipes or whatever is super looks really good on your resume, and especially knowing this too. So let's just try to see if we can find a read request. Look at this. This is all the different ways, all these ways you acknowledge a device. So this is UDP. So when you send like a BACnet device, a confirmed request, the devices acknowledge each other's. I don't know a whole lot to know like that stuff really well. So maybe I'll just do a present value. Looks like it's searching. I think if you buy the BACnet spec, you have to buy this. So read property service. Let's just maybe go to page 739. It's so big though, search doesn't work. Whoops. Fat fingers. Delete object service, no idea what that is. Read property service. So when we did the, I'm just like jumping back to some of our code bases. This is like our vibe code app 1. The back 0, like I was saying, is the most beginner friendly one to utilize. It's a wrapper library around backpipes. So this is where we're at. This is a BACnet read. So we have to do a read request to device IP address. This is our point address, object type, and that's our point address, I guess. So present value. So these are all attributes that would be defined in the BACnet spec. Okay, so let's look at this. Object identifier. This parameter is a type of BACnet that shall provide the means of identifying an object whose property is to be read and returned. So this is really basic, but this is how we would, this is all defined in this specification. And then if we would, sorry guys, if we would even see, like when we did the read the priority array and backpipes, that's where this comes from. Property value. This is the stuff I have to get like a little bit more familiar with is in backpipes or in BACnet, like which is a confirmed an unconfirmed request. Read multiple property. So this is what we did when we did the app in backpipes that is saving data to CSV files. The read property service is used by a BACnet client to request values of one or more specified properties. or more BACnet objects. This service allows to read any property of any, whether it's BACnet defined object. So yeah, cool stuff. I've ran into some issues with the BACnet read multiple in backpipes on some BACnet gateway. I can't even remember the device. It might have been a lighting control system. It had like 4,000 points in it. And I think I noticed in backpipes that there is no chunking built into the Python, world, Python backend. So if I requested 2,000 points, which I can write a Python script to do that. Whoops, I just did something there. If I can write a Python script to do all that, but the device says, no, I can't do that. So I had to build some kind of special process of only doing 25 points at a time. I think we even talked about this on the BACnet read multiple video. And it has to do with like how many bytes on the bytes of data that the BACnet device can handle. So whatever. I think it's kind of cool to maybe we should just glance at this because it's not bad practice. So what I kind of wanted to do is how this is schedule object. Let's see. So where are we? Maybe we should just see if we can find this. I'm just going to try this. Weekly schedule. Big document here. Looks like it's still searching. Oop, I found one. 4. Where did you find that? Okay, so see weekly schedule. And we're already on page 1000. Sheesh. Yeah, this gets really complex. Maybe I'll just do schedule object. Let's try that. I think I did notice there might be like a schedule object in here too. Yeah, it even talks about BACnet Secure Connect, which I haven't even seen yet or dabbled with. So where are we? Point being is like, I think we should just start, getting familiar with the spec. Kind of apologize for not being very organized at this document, but maybe like little by little, like we can just get more familiar with, and then also like when we do the, which I need to personally learn a little bit better, is getting into Wireshark, looking at these bytes on the wire, and then also doing a, knowing what the difference between a confirmed and unconfirmed BACnet point schedule object. So here we go. So we should probably do a week on program objects, schedule objects, which we did last week, trend objects. Yeah, there's just zillions of things. So maybe I'll just go to page 308. Yeah, we did analog value, binary value. So yeah, this is all covered in there. Let's go to page 308. Property list. Where is page 308? Schedule object. So this is kind of like what we saw in our schedule. So schedule object defines a date of standardized periodic schedule with a range of dates, which is what we saw in our Python script when we ran it. Schedules are divided into days, which two types: normal days within a week and exception days. So both days can specify scheduling events. Sorry if the text is really small. Current state of the schedule object represents present value, which we saw. So like, cool. So this is kind of neat. So like when we did a present value right here and a weekly schedule and exception schedule, that was these guys right here: schedule value, weekly schedule, and present value. And then some of the schedule objects, lots of data in here, and we had to loop through it to find it all. So like what we should do next week is let's do object list. I just want to see if this will return anything, and then I think I might call it good on today. I guess while that searches, I don't know what page this is on. Some section. Anyways, so maybe we'll just have to figure out where this is in the spec. But maybe we could even try and make this real quick. So if I go to, I'm going to create a new folder. Just call this Vibe Code Apps 4. No, 5. I'm just going to copy this guy, paste you inside. So let's just call this backpipes 3. So this would be point discover. Click the rename here. This will be what we'll run. That's fine. So we will just do an object list. So this is, I think, all we'll care about. I'm going to get rid of all you, all of you. And then we can just print this data. Save this for next week. Tab over here, print. Object list, and then do a print present value. Okay, so like, I do a search right here on my handy dandy BACnet scan tool. Let's just try and find this device. Okay, so maybe we can do the fake air handling unit. That's on my test bench .13. So I'm just gonna do that, and I don't think we need this at all. Gosh, maybe we do this right here, device object right here. Let's just try this. No, I can't remember. So I'm just going to change directory into 5. List our script here, and then just see if I can get this one to run. Alright, so I'm doing something wrong here. When in doubt, we can ask AI. See if ChatGPT can figure something out. I might have to look back on some notes here. To see if ChatGPT can figure this out. All right. It even knows this device instance ID. Must be using ChatGPT an awful lot that it knows this. From my test bench. It still didn't like that. Okay, so if it can't figure it out, I have an example here that I can reference. Maybe we can just do this real quick. Let me look at this on a different screen. All right, let's just try this. Still got an error. I'm just going to copy in some example code I have before. As you can see that AI does not write good code yet. Okay, so this is another code base of mine that we'll get into later in time, but it's actually like a little web application that you can do this from. So we'll get into this in time, and I know this works on my web application. But we'll just see if, oh shoot, maybe it's because of this. Okay, lesson 101. So maybe it's just because I have my BACnet scan tool open, which I've talked about a million times, that I have to close this before I run my Python script because, oh, there we go. Because the operating system on my Windows computer that we're running the Python script does not allow two BACnet applications run at the same time. It's just a funny thing of BACnet. People just get used to it. And I think the real way to describe that is because BACnet is an inbound protocol based program, as they as they designed it in here, so you could probably read through the spec and it would tell you that it's an inbound protocol, protocol designed that way, so that the operating system, Windows, Linux, or Mac, doesn't matter what it is, will only allow one BACnet application to be running at once, which is different than other protocols like MQTT or RESTful APIs or whatever, HTTP. So yeah, this did work. So we did our BACnet discovery. So when we did that, and I've demoed this 100 million times already, that that is the same as running so like right in our script here, how we're on device 13 here, dot 13. When I go boom, when I go like this, that looks exactly like that, doesn't it? So that is probably doing an object list straight from the device. One read request is returning all of this data, and this is cool. So it's just it's just one big list, not much to parse. Like when we did here, this is actually, to me, gets kind of complex on parsing all that BACnet information, but I thought this one would be kind of complex too, but it's not. It's just a simple for loop through a list. And even if I do like this, close U, it's just one big list of data. There it is. Okay, so we're stopping here. I'll push Vibecode app 5 to GitHub, and yeah, I hope you guys are having a good day, guys. So we did this already. We did the point discover and looked at the BACnet spec, and then maybe for next week we can get into something else a little bit more fun, which we could get into next week. Maybe we could even get into, some people have said how to image like a Raspberry Pi, so I probably could do that. And then also maybe that BACnet application that I was briefly showing before, we could image Raspberry Pi and then put Docker on it and bootstrap this. It's kind of a fun thing to play around with. It's just a little web app we can do all the same things with. And then maybe we could probably get into doing like a Wireshark. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking some topics all at the same time, and way deviating from what I originally went off of. But yeah, I hope you guys are liking this stuff, and please feel free to reach out if there's any questions or something is, I'm not describing it well. Some people say I can't read the text, it's too small. So like I'm trying to remember to zoom in. So yeah, I hope you guys are liking this, and reach out anytime. There's also a link to Discord too, so feel free to reach out. Hope you guys are having a good day, and talk to you next week.